Heidi, Heidi ho. School Bonanza. This is where we do Sunday things that you would see in school. All of those things. This week we are talking about lesson number 31.
For you to be normal.
And so were the churches established in the faith. This lesson.
I'm loving this book of Acts. Let me tell you, I am loving
the
the
Acts
book
is a great
of Acts.
one. And once you get past Acts into the Acts into the epistles, it's kind of hit and miss. The Acts is pretty solid though. The thing I like about Acts that I like, why I like it as a not necessarily opposed. It's not that I don't like the epistles, but I like the Acts because it deals a lot with history. There's a lot of context and setting that Luke gives us, which is neat.
Yes, and that's part of this lesson. We're supposed to remind you that Luke wrote the book of Acts.
Hodgepodge, mishmash. Everybody knows Luke wrote Acts.
Yeah, he did. He wrote it. That's why in a lot of the verses he says we. He uses we, talking about how he went with Paul.
He sees him as one of the three kings, if I understand correctly.
It's kind of funny when you think about it. So you think about Luke, and Luke basically like tagging along with his notepad, and just it's like making a documentary.
No, that's not how I view it. Luke was legit, man. He wasn't just a journalist, Jeff.
Yes, I know he was more than a journalist. Thank you.
But he was just there with his olden day iPad. Yes, that's what you see him.
Yes, of course. Just tapping away, taking the notes.
Okay, so yeah.
So I will start with an attention activity that you might or might not hear. It is the brief story of one John Morgan, who was raised in Salt Lake City in the late 1800s. He kept having a dream that he was traveling down a road in Georgia, which he recognized because when he was a soldier in the Civil War. So the point is, he finds Brigham Young standing there in the dream, and President Young tells him to take the fork in the road to the left. Now, Mr. Morgan, though, was not a member of the church. He told his sister about the dream. She told him she believed that he would join the church and serve a mission in those southern states, which he eventually actually did. And he wound up serving in that same area. And he found the road, and he took the left fork, and he went to the Haywood Valley, a beautiful place.
Wait, so he was living with the Haywood family and went to the Haywood Valley?
I'm sorry, there's no Haywood family. Oh, it is. Well, that's weird, actually.
Interesting. The plot thickens.
That is actually interesting. I had not put that part together.
I'm a listener.
I'm sorry, yes, it's Sister Haywood, not his actual sister, Sister Haywood. My bad there. Interesting, the Haywood Valley. The point is, he goes there, and then when he finds the people, they said like about a week before, a stranger came through and marked everyone's Bibles and told them that another man would come along and explain it to them. And this man turned out to be John Morgan. And he explained the passages of Scripture, baptized all but 3 of the 23 families in the valley.
Cool. So I guess
stories.
it's just teaching about, great things happen on missions. Like sometimes missionary paths are prepared, yes? Is that...
That's the whole thing. I mean, I think the great thing is that we followed the counsel. Like, he had this dream years in advance, and when he came to that moment in reality, he didn't just think, well, that was just a weird dream. He decided to follow that, assuming it was actually a sort of revelation, and people were blessed.
Fair enough. So the first section, this is a little bit interesting for me. The first section is on Paul, Silas, and Timothy, preached throughout Macedonia and Greece. And the first chunk is Paul and Timothy, right? Let me make sure I'm telling this correctly.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Paul and Timothy, they end up getting in a bit of a spat, and the contention is so great that they just split ways. Like they were arguing over which companion to take. It gets so heated, they split ways, grab their own companion, and go off. Now, what's interesting about this for me is so they argue, split. Grab their own companions. They're like, fine, forget it. I'm taking my guy. You take your guy. We're out of here. And they both go and have successful missions. Now, when I was a missionary, like if you got out at 10 minutes after when you were supposed to get out, I was so ridden with guilt that like, I don't know. I would give myself a crummy day. I felt like I wasn't worthy of the Spirit, like things were going to happen. And if I had it to do over again, I think I would feel a lot less guilt. Just so long as I was trying to do what was right, and that I wasn't transgressing in major ways. If I was trying to keep all the little commandments and doing the best I could, you should feel good about that. What's interesting about this is they both they have this contention, which isn't good. We're not supposed to be contentious, but they do, and then they split, and they don't go home and feel sorry for themselves and wish that they hadn't, and wish that maybe things had worked out differently, and then the Spirit would be with them. No, they just go and work, and they go and work, and the Lord blesses them and leads them to people that are prepared. And in the end, it's a good thing, right? Because you double the amount of missionaries that are out there. They went from 2 looking for a third to 2 companionships that just went and knocked it out. I mean, a positive thing.
Yeah, I do want to go back to some of the stuff you were saying just a second ago. I think we talked a lot about this. Remember when we were driving back from Baltimore a couple of weeks ago? We had a whole discussion about how anal we'd be about mission rules, if we were to go today.
We do it completely different.
And I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I think the main reason is those rules are there because there are those who are disciplined and who there might be little moments of infractions and this and that, but like you said, their heart's in the right place, you're working hard, you get over it. But the problem is there are so many missionaries who aren't disciplined, and eventually, it would slide and slide and slide, and next thing you know, you'd have people going out an hour later doing this or that. So it's kind of a sad state
there's
of
no
affairs.
value in thinking that you're above a rule, but there is value in not going home and feeling sorry for yourself and wasting time, rather in just deciding, next time I get the chance to do that, I'll do it better. But the Spirit's not he's not gone because you didn't take the right step. He still wants you to succeed. So remember that.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. So section 1, covers a lot of that, a lot of their journeying, the people who are converted, and like you said, they got kind of double the work done, twice as much work done. And then, of course, Paul eventually winds up in Athens on Mars Hill, and here we get the very famous lecture and preaching about the unknown God.
We are the offspring.
Because those in Athens, it come to the point where they worshipped God's creations rather than God himself. They treated God as some sort of abstract power. But then Paul, of course, goes to the great lengths to explain that, no, we are God's children. We are his offspring. He is not the unknown God. He is our Father in heaven. And I love just this image in my head. I picture just Paul up there. Just, you picture all these Greek guys walking around in robes, philosophizing or whatever. And Paul just standing there and just laying into him.
Now, one of the things, when they come into this town, Paul finds the philosophers there spending their time doing... in nothing else, I'm quoting here, they spent their time in nothing else but either to tell or hear something new, as philosophers do, yes? So what's interesting about this is that when they had they had the good doctrine, they were good, solid folk, but when you force yourself to find something new constantly and you're not ever satisfied with what you have, it forces you to kind of wrest the doctrine and twist it in ways that nobody's seen before. You're constantly coming up with brand new insights or new ways of looking at it, which may not always be healthy. I mean, a lot of times the Scripture means what a Scripture means, and there's no real value in twisting it an umpteenth way. I don't know. I look at that and I see a lot of people that are obsessed with they don't pay attention to it unless they hear it a new way. Kind of spiritual hobbyists, if you will, and so this is a good reminder.
Well, it's true. I mean, it's funny because I was thinking this past Fast Sunday in my ward. Admittedly, I was just kind of like, dude, I'm done with the YSA scene. I can't roll with this anymore. Those same, because it's those. This isn't doctrine, but those same types of jokes that everybody makes. Same this and that, and everyone sits there laughing, and I'm like, yeah, I guess when I was 25, I still thought this was funny. Now I don't think it's funny at all. But the problem is I become so kind of just with being there that it's very easy to slip into this whole I've heard everything before, I've been in a singles word forever.
You want to be entertained almost.
I just want to... Yeah, and I find myself instead tweeting things our second counselor says, which are funny, by the way, which is why I do it, rather than trying to focus on the purpose of meetings.
It's a slippery slope, Jeff. Slippery slope.
It is a slippery slope. I'm sorry. I can't help but tweet the things Brother Yuha says. The man is insane. All right. If you knew him, you'd understand.
Third, Paul writes letters of counsel to the saints in Thessalonica. I'm sorry. So as he moves on, he has his little pocket of folks there, and these are letters of encouragement and instruction that he sends to them. So it's already a branch, so to speak, but he sends letters there, kind of instructing them in ways to avoid the letting that doctrine erode over time. And he picks a couple of
Yeah, this is the start of
Yeah.
the epistles right here. Because he couldn't go in person, so he sent Timothy and with his letters.
And he picks some interesting things to focus on. A lot of it, second coming type of stuff. This is what to look for. How to teach the gospel. Missionary work. I love at the end he says, "How do you prepare for the second coming?" That section of verses in Thessalonians. What is it? 5.
Well,
5,
then,
4 to 8.
Well, you mean Second Thessalonians and it actually prophesies about the apostasy, which was.
I'm looking at 1 Thessalonians 5, 4 through 8, where he says, "But brethren, ye are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. Ye are all children of light, and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep, as do others, but let us watch and be sober." Just some,
which is a great one. And then I love right here. Then you've got Second Thessalonians in chapter 2, I believe.
Is that
when he says, he says, do not be shaken, do not be troubled, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come. He's referring, of course, to the second coming of Jesus Christ in verse 1. But in verse 3, that day shall not come except there be a falling away first, and the Son of Man be revealed, the son of perdition, which has just got apostasy written all over it. And we could have a whole discussion about the apostasy because I think it's one of the most riveting doctrines and historic things in all of the gospel.
Yeah.
But we won't.
So one of the suggestions it gives is to read through Thessalonians, looking for instruction given as how to paint. I would reread the epistles. Acts is a great one to go back through. Maybe grab a commentary or something as you go through it. This is quality stuff, though. This is some of the best stuff, in my opinion,
totally.
that we have.
So there we go. And so we're leaving Acts now. We'll be in the Pauline epistles for a while now until I would assume almost the end of the year, and then it'll be Hebrews and Revelation. And
that's been Sunday School Bonanza in 10 minutes or less, brought to you by the good folks at This Week in Mormons.
Yep, thisweekinmormons.com, facebook.com/thisweekinmormons. We're on a push to have over 500 likes, so do that. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
All right.
And Twitter at
have
the
a great
Real
week.
Twim. Thanks, everybody, and please tell your friends, of course, about this and any other podcast of ours that you enjoy. Al, have a great time.
All right.
Have a
See you,
great
Jeff.
Sunday, everybody. Bye, buddy. And this has been Sunday School Bonanza, brought to you by This Week in